name is Kristen Casino. This is my colleague Mike Reed. We work for Liberty Mutual Insurance, and we're here today to tell you a little bit about our journey of measuring the impact of our training programs with a specific focus on how data has aided us in that journey. So let's start by creating a little bit of context. We embarked on this path in around 2013-2014, where we were really challenged with being an organization that did more than just deliver good training programs. Our leadership wasn't interested in that people liked the training, but what business impact are we getting out of this training? Are employees' performance changing? Are our business metrics changing? What can we really see that is concrete and measurable that we can share with our leadership that really show the value and investment in our learning solutions? If you look at the graphic on the right, you can see we've really taken a holistic approach to this. We invested in training our own employees in how to collect data, how to measure data, how to have conversations with stakeholders about what that means. How do we go out and collect that data? Who do we talk to about it? Then how do we evaluate it? How do we talk to our stakeholders about what we've collected? How do we see what our training programs have done in the environment? And then what does that mean to us? How do we take action on it? Were we collecting the right information? Did it mean anything to the business? What kind of conversations can that lead us to have? Because as we all know, what we're really looking for is our learning programs to have an impact on the work that we do, an impact on our employees and an impact on our business results. One of the other things that's been important to us in our journey is that we're a large organization, so we don't have the opportunity to do things on a one-off basis. So how can we really take this process and scale it across everything that we do? Most likely any learning solution that we deliver is going to be repeated, so we don't want to go through this iterative process. We really want to put an automated, scalable process in place that we can continue to do this over time. So a lot of these challenges might look familiar to you. Anyone who's tried to measure the impact of their learning solutions knows this is not an easy process. I think if you look at this slide, there's maybe two categories I put a lot of these challenges into. One is sort of the people-related category, and the other one more technology or system-related. So some of the items on this slide, limited support, limited funding, a lack of a mature culture. These are all things that we face at Liberty Mutual. Stakeholders aren't really sure, why are you asking me for this data or for these metrics? I just want you to produce a program and deliver it when I want you to deliver it, how I want you to deliver it. Do we have enough time? We're always so busy. Do we have time to take away from actual content development to having these more analytical, thought-provoking, consultative discussions with our stakeholders, with our employees, with our trainers? So a lot of that has been very challenging. One of the things that we did at Liberty Mutual is we actually created a pretty sophisticated and significant continuing education program for our own internal employees that have taken them on a journey from, maybe 2014 we launched that. And some of the programs are optional, some of them are required, and we have continued to offer more advanced pieces of this program so that our employees can continue to develop their skills and capabilities in this space and get better at it and be able to have better conversations with their business partners about it. As I mentioned, the other sort of category of challenges is more of that technical system or data category, which is more of Mike's area of expertise, so I'm going to look to him to talk to this part.
Thank you, Kristen. So we have big buckets of data we drop all of our data sources into. We're looking at the 4 types of data on the left, and then how we actually operationalize that in the infrastructure on the right. So the data sources share some characteristics. At the very top of the house, we always get data at the employee level. So it's an employee number, or it's an email if we're working out in the cloud. Somehow we get the data at an individual level. We can always roll up the data, but rolling down the data from an aggregated number is really difficult. So that's one of the things we really try to do for all of our data sources. The second thing, when you get the data, it's all anonymized. So we're very committed to privacy of individual data. So it all comes in and is assigned a unique ID number that connects all of the data together for an employee, but there's no way to identify that employee with the data. And then the last thing we do is it's all automated. So we leverage just basic automation, going out and getting the data in whatever format that we can. Sometimes it's direct to the business sources. Sometimes it is Excel spreadsheets. We just get the data and we bring it in. We automate it as much as we can. So let's talk about the business data in the upper left here. The business data is just what you would think. It is quality data. It is customer service data. It is production data. We go out to the business systems, we get the data, and we get it at an individual level. The operational data, that is exactly what you'd expect. It is basic data in number of completions, who's doing what, how long is it taking them, operational data that helps us determine better paths of learning. In the lower left is the talent data. So this is the long play. This is what we're looking at in terms of retention. Do people going through our program stay with the company longer? It's looking at foundational programs. Do they advance more quickly? It's looking at maybe movement across the organization. So do we move from underwriting, for example, to claims? Those are the things that we look at in the talent data that's important in the long play for talent development in the organization. And then we have the last bucket is our learning data. So it is our own data. We get the survey data for those data sources that we really can't quantify. So we survey for things like relevance of the training, for motivation, things that have been shown to be very highly essential to have a learning impact, but we can't get them in any quantitative numbers. So we go out and we ask our own, we administer our own surveys. So all that data comes in, and then we need some place to put it. So we centralize the data in large data stores. We typically use a database. It's integrated, so end-to-end processing, so all of our data from request to development to delivery to end-user business results is all linked together. Again, it's automated, so we don't spend a lot of time getting any individual data source any longer. We're down to about 5 minutes per data source per month, maybe. And then it's scalable. So we have a database in play. We're moving into the cloud, so we will be able to handle as much data as the business will be able to generate. So drilling down to the data source and systems, we'll just go through a couple of these. On the left, we have activities, so that's basically operational data. MCDC is our own learning management system, My Career Development Center. There are performance support systems in activity. There is some web server activity, video servers. So we just pull all of that production data. Content management, we store all of our data for, we need to store it for 10 years, believe it or not, from last use. So all of that is stored in a content management system. We get response data we talked about in terms of the survey data. So that data, again, is our own data. We use Survey Analytics as our platform. Again, we pull the talent data from the HR systems. That comes in as at the employee number level as well. We get the business data, again, from the business systems, and this typically in quality and production, customer service, and that's replicated across each of the business units we support. And finally, our own internal management. So this is where we track end-to-end processing from inception, from the request of the training, all the way through business impact.
So how do we use this data in a way that is meaningful to our stakeholders, to the people who asked us to create this learning solution? What you're looking at right now is what we affectionately call an impact story. So when we've identified a program, figured out what we want to measure, how are we going to collect all that information and then show our stakeholder and our own leadership that the program was impactful? So if you look at the metrics listed on the left-hand side, you can see the top 3, average handle time, quality, and lead generation, are some of the business metrics that Mike referred to. And then the second 2, promotions and attrition, are talent data. So what the objective of this program was that we were innovating a new hire program for our small business sales center. And if you look at the column from 2017 to 2018, you can see all of those metrics increased pretty exponentially across the board. So the fact that we connect to these systems directly means that we could pull this information pretty easily to be able to show this information. And then because we want to tell as holistic a story as we can, there was other potentially anecdotal information that we could share as well, such as we reduced the training time by 2 weeks. That's something every manager likes to know, that we're able to onboard their employees more quickly. and that we were able to actually have some hard dollar savings with it as well. So, I'll be honest, not every story is as perfect as this one, where you have, several data points that you can show, as well as anecdotal feedback about the improvements from a program. But it just shows that if you take the time to do this work at the beginning, collect it as you go along, you'll have a pretty good story to tell at the end. And if you are savvy, you can use this as sort of a template to share with other stakeholders in different areas to see, here's the type of impact a training program can have if you allow it. So this slide shows a couple more examples. I'll just hit on one or two of them. The first one, process improvement. Now, one of the things we're really careful about in the learning field is that we aren't saying that the training associated with the process improvement saved the company $1.5 million all by itself. I mean, we would like to, but we don't. There was a process improvement put in place, a training solution associated with that did yield the savings. So it's the partnership that we experienced that we're able to produce this result. Let's see, the development, we have a program called the Claim Success Academy, which is kind of a development program that's intended to take managers in the field and sort of expand their capabilities. One of the things we found as we tracked those employees over time who participated in that program, they have a stronger retention rate than the average employee in claims, and have been experienced promotions or career mobility post their experience in this program. So that's a great thing to talk to leadership about. And then lastly, on the bottom, we're in a point in time right now where we're talking a lot about the workforce of the future. What skills do employees need today, but that can also be transferable and carry them into the future? So what we did was we looked at, over the past 5 years, new hires that have come into Liberty Mutual in some key roles, maybe mainly underwriting, that are college hires, fresh off the street, or experienced hires that we took from another organization. And as you can see from these metrics across the board, the college hires performed better. So what a great conversation to have with people when they're doing their staffing planning or their workforce planning for next year. What a great conversation to have with the recruiting team. Here are some attributes that we've seen that can really help you make those decisions so you're choosing the right talent.
This slide is about operational efficiency. So in any learning organization, you can't really get by without talking about how efficient your operation is organized. So we don't spend a lot of time in this any longer. A lot of the numbers here are, again, automated. So the first upper left, we just look at cost per learning hour. That's one of those metrics that's a little bit equalized, controls for a lot of things. We just want to make sure that we're in the ballpark for other companies in terms of production. So we are, and we feel really good about these numbers. The lower left is the technology leverage. So technology is becoming more and more important for all companies. We tend to rely on the IT infrastructure and build whatever we need to do on top of that. That way they take care of all the procurement, they take care of all the maintenance, they take care of a whole host of activity there. We build on top of that, and we can look at the leverage in the lower left. In the upper right, we talk about the content distribution. So again, we're delivering more virtually, we are delivering more e-learning, we package the content for the most effective solution delivery. And part of it is that we don't own all of the content. We're on the technical training side. Other areas of the company own, say, vendor training or management training. But when we talk to the leaders in the organization, they really want to know how much time their people are spending training. So we have to collect all of the other training hours as well. And then at the lower right, this is a continuous improvement. There are a number of maturity models out there. Choose one. The point isn't which one you choose. The point is to choose one and then measure yourself every year, figure out where your gaps are, and try to close those gaps, improve your capability. So to wrap up, a few helpful hints. Take a broad view of talent, meaning take a look at all of the talent data, not just the learning data, but the talent data, the operational data, internal surveys. Group it all together, you get a far more holistic picture. Go granular for the data, so get the data at the individual level. Again, we get all of our data at the employee number level or at the email address level. Master, extract, transfer, and load. So this is just IT speak. That's all this is. It just says go out wherever the data lives, grab it in some kind of format you can handle, and import it into your own system. Make sure you're paying attention to privacy, becoming more and more important as we move forward in time. Europe has had GDPR in place for a while now. The CCPA, California Consumer Protection Act, goes into effect at the 1st of 2020. And it is really, privacy is really important. Okay, we need to maintain it. And then lastly, solve for the general case. So when you are asked to look at an underwriting development program, we could take a look at an underwriting development program at one point in time and look at the downstream effects, or we could spend 10% more and put up a dashboard or a report that would give us that information going forward for the next decade. So solve for the general case.
We hope you enjoyed our presentation today. Thank you very much for your participation. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Kristen. Thank you very much.